Hi everyone, welcome back to these very off-the-cuff vlogs showcasing some behind the scenes of developing a new sweater pattern. So I have worked out some basic numbers and now it is time for me to cast on my sweater. I've been going back and forth about this, and so what I've decided I'm going to try, we'll see how it works, is that I'm going to start from a provisional cast on. And in my case, really the only provisional cast on I know how to do is a crochet cast on. That is actually also the only crocheting I know how to do. So basically that means I'm going to crochet a long chain, and then from that I'm going to pick up stitches for one side of my sweater, or the back of my sweater. I'm going to work the first row as a Vickel braid or a Latvian braid or horizontal braid, however you generally refer to it. I'm going to work the first row as a braid, and then I'm just going to start working in garter stitch. So I'm going to work the first half of the sweater, the first half of the back of the sweater. Then I will go back, pull out the provisional cast on, and work in the other direction for the opposite side of the back of the sweater. And then throughout, I'm going to have to keep an eye on my yarn usage, because remember, what I'm going to try to do is fade these Harrisville nightshades into each other. So I want to start, I'm starting with sort of the red-black, and basically I'm going to want to use half of the ball of the red-black, although I've already used some for swatching, so I'm definitely going to have to measure things out, make sure I get the right weight so that I end up using half. For the back, first section of the back that I do, and then switch to the second color that I'm going to fade it into. And then when I take out my provisional cast on and begin the other half of the back, start again with the red and then progress into the other color, which, as I recall from my poorly drawn sketch, is purple. And then the other thing that I'm going to be thinking about as I'm working, it's not super important at first, but once the back reaches a certain width, I'm going to want the shoulders to slope downwards, which means I'm going to be doing a little bit of binding off or decreasing, depending on which one I think works best, as I get toward the far side of the back, to help the shoulders slope downward. So let's go ahead and get started with that super long chain of crochet stitches to start my provisional cast on. All right, so when you're doing a provisional cast on, you want to use a nice smooth yarn that's going to be easy to pull out. So I have found, I have absolutely no idea what this is, but it is nice and soft and smooth. And the other important thing is it's very bright, because I'm going to be working with this very dark yarn. So I need something that's going to be pretty high contrast. So if you've never done a crochet chain provisional cast on before, you basically crochet a really long chain in this case, because I need to cast on 121 stitches. And then from the bumps on the crochet chain, you pick up your stitches to start to knit. So here we go. Like I said, I don't crochet. This is the only crocheting I can do. And to be honest, I really haven't done much of it recently, so we're gonna see how that goes. I'm starting off rough already. I've got to cast on 121 stitches, so this is going to take a while. All right, so It really didn't take too long, about 5 minutes. I've got my long crochet chain, but while I was doing that, I realized that I've already screwed up some of the math. I was calculating a cast on for the whole length of the sweater, but I forgot to subtract some space for the hem, which will be picked up afterward and knit down. So I don't need to cast on 120 stitches. I only need to cast on 110. And you can see the crochet chain. One side looks like little arrows, like little stockinette stitches, and then the other has these bumps. So it's in these bumps where I'm going to pick up my stitches. Now I am knitting the sweater with the size US 8, but I am going to do that first Vickel braid with a needle one size larger, because Vickel braids or Latvian braids or whatever you want to call them are not as flexible. So garter stitch, on the other hand, is pretty flexible. So to kind of make up for any discrepancy there, I'm going to work that first braid with a larger needle. It occurs to me that an interesting idea might have been to make the crochet chain with the sweater yarn and just leave it in to make that back spine sort of line down the spine. That's an interesting idea. I don't know what I think of that. I'm gonna think about that some more. But for now, I'm gonna keep going the way I had already planned. So I need to pick up my stitches, which means I need some yarn. All right. I have a large ball of yarn. I don't know what's going on outside. I've had sirens for the last hour, just on and off. I don't know. Maybe there's an accident up on the main road or what. Now when I do a crochet chain for a provisional cast on, I always crochet more stitches than I need to pick up to make my life a little easier, so I'm not working right to the end. So I'm just going to start right here. Insert your needle into that purl bump, and then you'll keep going on down. And there, I have officially cast on my new sweater, even though I may have to rip it out. You never know. So I gotta do this for 110 stitches. Wish me luck. So I have finished the arduous task of casting on my 110 stitches, which looks like a great big mess, but so you can kind of see on this side I've picked up the stitches, and then on this side I still have this row of sort of stockinette looking little arrows. Now in theory this means that when it's time to pull out the cast on, I can undo one end and it'll zip open and leave me with a bunch of live stitches. I've only ever actually had that happen one time. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I usually end up having to pick out the provisional cast on, but maybe this time will be the charm. So I'm gonna get started on working my Vickel braid. Again, I'm gonna be using the larger size needle for that. One size up from my regular needle size. I actually have a tutorial on how to knit the Vickel braid. Off the top of my head, I can't actually remember how to do it, so I guess I'm gonna have to go watch my own tutorial. So I'm gonna work on that for a little bit. I'm starting to lose the light. So the next time I come and talk to you, I will have completed that Vickel braid and what will be the first row of the center back of the cardigan. Okay, so I have done the initial cast on and then worked my Vickel braid, Latvian braid, whatever you want to call it. Let's see if I can get it to, well, it's a dark yarn and it wants to focus on my face. So you can see here, the braid. This seems a little long for the body of the sweater, so I may have to redo this. But the first thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and work a few rows of garter stitch to see if that pulls it back in. If not, I may have to make some adjustments. So I'll be working. I weighed my yarn before I did the cast on, so I know that I want to work about 42, what was it? It weighed 92 grams, so I want to split that evenly. So I want to make sure that each, and I don't want to like run out, so I'm going to make sure that each side is about 45 grams. So that means once I have, let's see, 92 minus 45 is 47. So once I have only 47 grams of this left, then I will switch colors. That's not exactly correct. As I get close to having 40, what did I just say? 92 minus 45 is 47. Once I get close to having 47 grams left, then I'm going to start feeding the colors together, which I think I'll just do by working, a couple of times, 4 rows in each color, then 2 rows in each color, and then just transition to the next color, which, as I recall, I have as purple. And at some point, I will probably about thinking about how wide I want the back of the neck, and then once I have it half that wide, because again it's just going to be the one side of the back, I'll start either decreasing or binding off, probably decreasing, to create that downward slope in the shoulders. So like I said, the first step, I'm going to switch to my smaller needle now, the US 8, and work a few rows of garter stitch and see if that pulls this back in. And if that's the case, then I will continue, and I'll see you guys again when I'm ready to switch colors and show you how I'm doing on that. But if not, you may see me again if I have to redo some math to get this to be the right size.